It's National Pirate Day and my mum informed me that this morning has been sending me voice notes all morning, basically talking in that accent, except my accent is better than my mum's. My mum sounds like she's from Somerset in the UK. Wow, what's going on here? Mine does sound like authentic pirate accent. Anyway, hello, welcome to the Dixie Belle YouTube channel. I am a Dixie Belle brand ambassador. My name is Connie, and if you are new here and haven't yet subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you get alerts, notifications from when people go live, and also when there's new content posted on this channel, which is being posted all the time. So if you want to follow along, you will get notifications of when that happens. Like I say, I am a brand ambassador for Dixie Belle Paint, and I go live here every Tuesday in the Hot Mess Express that I currently am. Genuinely didn't realise I looked this rough today, so there we go. That is part and parcel of doing this job. In fact, no, I make excuses because some of the other brand ambassadors look very, very glamorous and I do not. I am a Hot Mess Express and I'm just going to embrace it because it is what it is. I've been working, okay? I have been working. And I'm going to work on this piece behind with you today. I'm going to show you a couple of little things that I'm doing with it. So as you can see, it's painted in one of the best colours in the world, which is called Pistachio, and it's a Terra clay paint colour. So this is Dixie Belle's newest paint range. It's clay paint and it's amazing. It's playful. You can do lots and lots of things with it. One of the things that it lends itself very well to is layering, blending, and those kind of things. So typically when you see Terra, you may see people use several different colours. Now that's absolutely perfect because, like I say, it does lend itself very well to those kind of finishes. However, what happens if you love a colour so much and you just want to do a colour in a one colour finish with Terra? Can you do that? Yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can. Hi, Teresa. So you can do one colour finishes with Terra. It's got different things. It's got different properties and different behaviours to the other paints in the range. So this is clay paint. This is what the tubs look like. This is the colour that I'm using. Only this colour. I have used other products and I will be using other products, but this is the only Terra colour that I'm going to use on this whole project. So it's going to be a one colour finish with Terra clay paint, and this video will be on my own YouTube channel. Hopefully this week, depends when I can get it finished. So chalk mineral paint and silk mineral paint are the other paints in the range, and they are different. So there's different colours within those paint ranges. So the main difference is that silk lends itself really well to a more kind of one colour, I would say more not modern, but it lends itself to that kind of look and feel. So if I have a customer that comes to me and wants a commission piece doing, they've got a chest of drawers or a pair of nightstands or whatever, and they just want them painting in a colour, and that's all they want. They don't want anything crazy. They don't want any kind of blending or anything like that. Silk is always my go-to because there's a built-in top coat and there's a built-in stain blocking primer. So it saves you time and it's super easy. It gives a beautiful finish, and 9 times out of 10, that's what my customers want if they're coming to me for commissions. Where I have a little bit of fun and go a little bit crazy is with the chalk mineral paint and the Terra clay paint range. Now, just because silk lends itself well to that finish, it doesn't mean the other paints don't do that as well. It's just that there are particular paints that lend themselves better to certain finishes than others. So I am all about making my life easy. If I wanted a beautiful, modern, one colour, slick finish, Terra would not be my go-to. Yes, I'm using one colour on this, but I am also using texture and I'm going to be distressing it. if I wanted to layer and blend and give a kind of really authentic, I don't know, either bohemian or like a chippy effect, would I use silk? Probably not, because it lends itself better to other ways of working. That's not to say that you can't do those things. I've done a chippy effect with silk, look pretty good, if I may say so myself. But it's easier to achieve those looks with other paints. So that's kind of where we are. But I just want, since I have laid eyes on this colour, hi Tammy, since I laid eyes on this colour, since it was released, I have wanted to do something just using this colour, nothing else. No other colours involved, no blending, not distressing, I am distressing. No blending, no kind of layering or anything like that. I'm just gonna use pistachio. That's the name of this colour, by the way. And I've just had to open a new tub because I've just used up the last of my last one on this side. So believe it or not, this is actually one coat and that's two. You can't really tell a massive difference. That's how amazing the coverage is of Terra. It is super pigmented, as are all of the other kind of ranges in the I Love Pistachio Everything as well, Teresa. It's such a unique, beautiful colour. It's so good. If you like green, you like this. So this is actually going over something that I did a paint wash on in a dark brown. So like I say, I haven't used any other Terra products on here, any other Terra colours, but I did want to make the wood look like it was dark brown. This is actually quite modern, not that nice pine. You can't really tell. It was that kind of look. So that very modern kind of toned pine. And I did a wash of umber. Where are we? Get in. There we go. I sanded it all back because there was some repair work that I needed to do. There was also quite a lot of scratches and dents on this. So I sanded it all back, sanded the existing finish off, and then I put a paint wash on it to act as a stain. So I used a dark brown paint, watered down, and then put it all over the piece and let it dry. And that is obviously going to give it a dark brown colour, but you can still see the wood grain through. So it's acting like a little bit of a stain. I just used paint because I needed it to dry quickly because I wanted to get the green on. So what I am doing is using this brush. I've just got it stored because I've just had a cup of tea in there while I was waiting to go live. So in between, if I'm ever using a paintbrush that I know I'm going to go back to that day, or even the next day sometimes, I will, if I know I need it again, instead of keep having to wash it out, I'll just put it in a bag or wrap some cling film around it. Keep the air off it. You can put it in the fridge as well, but I mean, we're as good as in winter here in the UK, so I didn't put mine in the fridge. And that way, you don't have to keep washing your brush. Speaking of weather, what is going on? It's horrendous. We're not even officially in autumn yet, and it actually feels like we're in winter. So, Terra clay paint. Like I say, this is the second coat. I've put two coats on this side. I've only put one on this side, so I'm going to start doing that with you, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to distress it. So the thing is with Terra clay paint is that it is not self-leveling, whereas chalk mineral paint and silk mineral paint, they will get, you can get them to go very, very smooth, and all you need to do is kind of just not overwork them, apply them with a synthetic brush or a roller, and you can achieve a really, really smooth finish. You can achieve texture as well, but it's harder to achieve a smooth, perfectly kind of sleek finish with Terra because it doesn't want to lie flat. It wants to hold the texture. So I am kind of embracing that. I'm adding texture on this piece. And the way that I'm doing it is not adding any other ingredients into the paint. Dixie Belle do a little pot or a sachet of powder, which is a texture additive that you can add to your paint. It makes it thicker and therefore holds texture and kind of gives you like a nice crumbly feeling to the paint. And you can get really cool effects with that. But I'm trying to use as little products as possible on this dresser to give a kind of industrial kind of look and feel to this. Well, that's what I'm aiming for anyway. We'll see how it turns out. And all I'm going to be doing is using the paint and a little bit of distress work. So in order to get that texture on the surface, I'm using a thin synthetic brush, but I'm pouncing it on the surface. So if you wanted to get even more texture, you can add sea spray if you want to. Also, you could use a natural bristle brush, which promotes more texture. I'm using this mainly because I didn't even think it through. I just grabbed the first brush that I found. But you can still achieve texture with a synthetic brush. Now, the other thing is, because I knew I was going to do 2 coats of this and I wanted a 1 colour finish, if you start to apply paint like this, because it wants to hold its texture, you will get brush strokes in this paint. It works really nicely if you water it down and you can get a nice kind of smooth finish. I've achieved loads of different looks with Terra. But if I wanted a 1 colour finish, traditionally what you'd do is you'd apply your paint like this. I mean, it's pretty smooth, but there are brush strokes. More brush strokes than what there would be if I used the other paints. So the other thing about Terra is that it reactivates itself. It reactivates with water. It doesn't reactivate itself. It reactivates with water. So if I went ahead and spritzed this with water to try and get that paint to lie flat, what would happen is the paint that is underneath, so the first coat of paint that's underneath here, it would be reactivated by the water, and then you'd start to see the brown base coat that I put on, the colour wash. So it is a little bit of a funny beast, is Terra. It's more of an artisan paint for artistic finishes. And let me just tap the screen so I can see all messages that are visible. Can you use a spray gun with this, or will it clog? No, not advised with the sprayer. Chalk mineral paint, absolutely. Silk mineral paint, absolutely. Terra, it is super, super thick. It's almost like a puddingy consistency. This paint tub is super full. So I can't even tip it. Hang on. Let me... Whoa, where's the camera? There we go. Can you see the consistency when I'm shaking it? It holds a texture. It's like a kind of like a chocolate moussey kind of consistency. Do you see how thick it is? And do you see? So it holds its texture. So for that reason, I would say probably not suitable for a spray gun. I am not a sprayer though, so if anyone can say otherwise, then please do, but I would say not a sprayer. Oh, why have I done that? Oh, the weather was hot, horrible hot, and now cooled down quick. Yeah, it did the same here actually. We had a crazy heat wave in the UK, and probably not a heat wave to you in some parts of the US, but it was a heat wave to us, okay? And then it's just gone, basically. We've skipped autumn and we are straight into winter. Straight into winter. Definitely more for a unique finish then. Does it come in the same colours or similar ones to silk or chalk paints you have? No. So this range, of this Terra Clay Paint range, it's got its own unique colour kind of palette. There are some super bright colours like this one, and there are also some more muted tones. There's a couple of neutrals, there is a black. The colours are gorgeous, and they're all kind of named after kind of earthy kind of things. Just to cover all bases as well, paint thinner wouldn't help either and should be avoided, right? I can't say for sure. Like I say, I have never ever sprayed paint. I'm not a paint sprayer. I am a brush gal. At a push, I might use a roller every now and again, but it's not really my vibe. I'm all about the brushes. So I can't say, but I don't think this would work through a paint sprayer. Even if you thinned it down, even if you used a product like Floetrol or something like that, I just don't think it would work because of how it's just the way it is. I don't know. Like I say, if anyone wants to jump in the comments and correct me, please go ahead. If there's anybody that's sprayed with Terra, then go ahead. Neutrals and black, really excited to see this. I'm a roller girl myself, but family get me a paint sprayer. Oh, that's an awesome present. Like, if I had the capacity to spray, I mean, it'd be definitely something that I'd want to teach myself and get better at, but I just don't have anywhere that I can. But yeah, I prefer to do more kind of crazy stuff like this. I am a massive lover of kind of texture and all the things. But if you want to see other stuff that I've done with Terra, there are a few videos on my own YouTube channel. You can find me at Faff Designs, and there's a couple of videos there that I've done. But the possibilities are endless with this. You can kind of go grungy, industrially, a little bit boho, colourful. Yeah, it's a cool product. Yes, I don't envy the cleanup with a spray gun. I would imagine that does take ages. Yeah, not a massive fan of cleaning up anything anyway. That's why I always put my brushes in bags when I finish with them. But the other paints in the range, so chalk mineral paint and silk, I have seen both of those used in a sprayer really successfully. So definitely can with them. Probably not the one for this, just because of it's more for kind of decorative effects and texture and blending and layering and all those kind of things. Having said that, we're not really doing that on this piece. We're just doing a one colour finish, but there is going to be distressing. And I did quite a heavily kind of chippy piece for part of a kind of paid partnership that I did for a company in the UK that sells antique furniture, and it's like an auction house. And I did a really chippy piece. It's not on my YouTube channel, but it is on Instagram and Facebook, and that is probably one of the most kind of authentic looking chippy pieces that I did. Now, I know chippy furniture, chippy paint, distress paint, I know that's not everyone's bag, but it is mine. Take super good care of brushes and rollers at the moment, to look for more. Do you know slick stick? Oh, why do I always do this? I always tap the screen and then it goes away. Do you know if slick stick can be put in a sprayer? I think so. I think it can. We are doing pumpkins with Terra. Yes. That would work really well with the colours in Terra. That would work really nicely. What was I saying? I can't remember what I was just saying. Chippy furniture. Yes. I did actually see something the other day where someone had put something about chippy furniture or distressed furniture is out of fashion. I'm like, well, I'm out of fashion then, because I like it. Spraying doesn't satisfy the need for painting. The brushing does. Sometimes I wake up brush stroking in my dreams. Okay, Jan. I know what you mean though. It wouldn't hit the spot for me either, but I know, like, my friend used to do like a lot of commissions for kitchens. So she used to paint a lot of kitchens, and when I saw her sprayer in action, I was like, I see why you would. I completely see why you would do that. So if that is your thing, then there would be no doubt in my mind that a sprayer would be worth its weight in absolute gold for kind of commission work and things like that. But it's just lucky that I work with Dixie Belle and that I can kind of experiment and do these more kind of unique sort of crazy finishes, because that's what I love doing the most. I can do one colour finishes, I can do something in silk, and it'd probably sell a lot quicker than my crazy finishes, but I'm really lucky in that I can kind of do the kind of finishes that I love, and obviously promote Dixie Belle at the same time. I wish I could just do the brush myself. Oh, I've tapped the screen again. Why do I do it? But I don't have the wrong brush or water consistency too high or incorrect because I can't ever get a super smooth finish. I do usually use, he's still talking about slick stick. I do usually use slick stick with a roller if I can, just for speed, because I mean, I don't want to be spending time priming something if I don't have to. But I don't ever, I know some people do have that problem with slick stick, and I've noticed people have said, you know, they get texture or unwanted brush strokes with slick stick, but I do not have that problem. How do I get the comments back? Comments, come back. Don't. Oh, there we go. I can't wait to do aged or wood look where I can brush away instead of rolling with last coat, because painting is just relaxing. I'm more talking of all paints. I have pretty minimal brush strokes. At the end of the day, this is, excuse me, I just had a hiccup. I embrace the brush strokes. I don't embrace the brush strokes, okay. We all kind of strive to get that kind of flawless finish, but at the end of the day, it's not factory finished furniture. It is hand finished. It's painted by hand with a brush, and that is just part and parcel of, well, it's, for me, I don't strive, it's not that I don't strive for perfection, but those flawless finishes are not what floats my boat. And I know that most people, that's the kind of finish that people would buy for their home. By doing these kind of finishes, I am kind of narrowing down my market. Before I worked with Dixie Belle, I would usually do that kind of thing because that is what I could guarantee would sell. Whereas I can now obviously do these kind of things and not have to kind of worry about that so much. But I do use silk a fair amount, and when I use silk, it does normally sell quick, the piece of furniture, just because it's such a lovely finish, and I'm guessing it's probably a finish that will fit in with more homes versus something a little bit wild like this. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, about chippy furniture. I think each to their own with chippy furniture. I don't think it's gone out of fashion. I still think there is a kind of trend there for it. But if you are going to try and do a chippy kind of look, I would definitely say Terra is the way to go, because it just gives you a really authentic kind of distressed look. I'm just going to do this one drawer, and then I'm going to hopefully show you how I'm going to distress this. So the other thing as well that I'm doing, as well as like completely knackering up my brush, is, I'm going to show you the close-up of this in a second. So that's I've got one more drawer to do at the bottom, but I won't do that on camera. So can you see the edges? So by stippling the paint on, you can see some of the dark wood. It's fake dark wood. It's actually orange pine that I did a colour wash on to give the impression of dark wood, because I wanted when I'm going to distress back, and I didn't want the new kind of modern pine showing through the paint. I wanted it to look like this piece was originally a dark wood piece. So by stippling it on, I'm kind of leaving these pieces intentionally. One of my dogs just did something that made a loud banging noise. So I'm kind of leaving these bits intentionally around the edges, because it already looks like I've started to distress them. I just haven't completely covered them up. So there's a couple of bits, just mainly around the corners and the edges. It's got a dog hair on it. That I'm going to kind of just leave, and we're going to kind of embrace it. There we go. So I'll do the last drawer at the bottom in a sec, because you can't even see it down here anyway. I'm just going to push these back in so they're out of the way, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to distress it. So remember me saying how silk, not silk, we're not painting with silk, we're painting with Terra. Remember how me saying Terra reactivates with water. So until it is sealed, you can spray it with water and it'll reactivate. Now, the other paints from Dixie Belle don't do that. Once it's dry, it's pretty much dry. You can slightly reactivate chalk mineral paint, but not to the same extent as this. I could leave this unsealed. I could leave this paint like this for months, actual months. And I could come back to it, I could spray it with water and it would reactivate. And what I mean by reactivate is it'll become kind of fluid again. I agree, Jan, 100%. I've had repeat customers from my most craziest pieces because, yes, although it's narrowing down your customer base, once you tap into that customer base, they tend to absolutely love what you do and become a customer for life. Whereas the more plainer pieces, especially with the market in the UK as well at the moment, I do find that plainer pieces are becoming so easy to pick up and such a good price as well. So somebody could just see something painted black or white or grey and might not necessarily feel the urge to buy it because they might see something else a little bit cheaper, or it wouldn't be as unique or individual. Whereas the one-off pieces, they probably know they're never going to see anything like it again. That's my take on it anyway. So this can be reactivated. What I mean by reactivated is you can spray it with water and you can start to move it around and manipulate it again. You definitely can't do that with silk because it dries as tough as boots. And chalk mineral paint, like I say, you can a little bit. The difference is, a lot of people go, well, you can do that with chalk mineral paint. You actually can't. Once it is dry, it is dry. You could spray it with water. You could rub it a bit, but it does not reactivate in the same way as Terra. The thing people are mistaken for is keeping it open. So you can keep spraying chalk mineral paint with water to keep it in a fluid state, which means you can do things like blend. But once it is dried down, you cannot then spray it with water to reactivate it. This one you can. Here, both coastal and neutrals are overflowing in the market. I see super cheap prices of refinished items. Oh, why do I do this all the time? You would normally pick up to flip in other parts of the country. Yeah, it's exactly the same around here in the UK. I have even been tempted to buy things that people have painted for me to buy it, to strip it, to repaint it, because things can go for that cheap. But that's why, I don't know, there's a market for everybody as well, I suppose. But this has got a slight bit of, there's a corner there that's a bit damp, but I did this maybe like an hour or two ago, I don't know, not too long ago. So that's completely dry, and you can tell it's dry because Terra changes colour as it dries. It goes lighter. So this is the colour that I've just applied. This is still damp. It's kind of dry to the touch. In areas it's still wet where I've applied it thicker. So it goes a lot lighter, and that's all of the colours. All of the colours in Terra go lighter when they're dry. But then when you put the top coat on, it changes back to the colour that the paint is when it's wet, if that makes sense. So I'm going to wet to stress this because it reactivates with water super easy. So all I'm going to do is spray. You can see it changing colour where I sprayed it with water. I'm going to spray along here with water, and then I'm going to get some of this shop cloth, it's a blue shop cloth, and it's like kitchen roll. It comes on a roll. I use it all the time, and it's just a bit tougher, and it doesn't shed on your furniture. So like kitchen roll would like come apart and shed all little white bits all over your furniture. This does not. So I'm just going to grab this, and all I'm going to do is start rubbing away at the paint. Now, like I say, there's 2 coats of Terra on here, so it is quite thick. I think I probably could have got away with doing 1 coat of Terra on here. Let's come closer so you can see. The lighting's not the best, and I've got my head in the way of the, let's see, there. So all I want to do is pick out areas and hopefully get that dark, fake dark wood, it's not dark wood, get the finish underneath to peek through. Obviously, the more layers that you do of Terra, the more it's going to take to kind of rub it back. Just saw a question. Is Terra Seal a special formula? It's the same as Gator Hide? It's not the same as Gator Hide. So there are two top coats that you can get for Terra. There's Terra Matte and then there's Terra Seal. Or they're both called Terra Seal. Anyway, one's a more matte finish and they are specially formulated to work with Terra. And the reason for that is if you used a top coat that wasn't for clay paint, you will reactivate the paint. So you have to be super careful what you're using. I have used Gator Hide. What do you do if you want to wash dust? What do you want to do if you want to wash to dust, etc. before top coat? Let's say if you left the piece in your garage for a month or two before the piece, if you want to activate it. I wouldn't leave something like this untop coated for too long. Obviously it's a super matte finish. I'd just probably give it a wipe down with a cloth, but anything that you spray on it is going to activate the paint, so you're going to be in a mess. What was the question that I was answering? I've lost my train of thought. Hang on. Terra Seal. Yeah, so there's two top coats. One's more matte and one has got more of a shine, which is very similar to Gator Hide. I have used Gator Hide with Terra. It works to a certain extent, but it makes the colours look super saturated. So the top coats that Dixie Belle sell for Terra are probably best to be used with Terra, although there's other stuff that works as well. But I know Jodie from Decorous Vintage Designs. I know she uses, she's used Big Mama's butter on Terra before and it's been all right. But personally, I just stick to the top coats that have been formulated to be used with Terra because it is such an individual paint in how it kind of, how it works and how it kind of behaves. I just stick to the top coats that's been kind of formulated to work with Terra. So this is wet distressing. So you can either use a damp rag or you can spray directly onto the piece. Either works, it doesn't really matter. If you don't want a big spray mark like I've just done, you can just spray your rag, and I'm just turning it around to find a clean piece of the rag, and then you can just basically rub away as much of the green of the Terra as you want to pull back to give you that kind of distressed look. Can you see? Is it easier if I go around the other side? The light comes in from that direction in this room. So my head was right in the way. So can you see there how it's just it's starting to just pull that green back and expose the dark wood underneath the dark wood. I keep saying the dark wood. It's not. It's pine. Also, it started pulling up a little bit of the paint wash. But I don't mind. I don't mind if I can see a little bit of the pine, as long as the majority is that kind of darker brown. So if you only want to kind of wet distress super slightly, just don't keep rubbing it. If you want to go a little bit crazy, rub it more. So it's a less kind of messy and dusty way of distressing. If you wanted to sand Terra, it does sand really well, but it does create a dust. Unlike chalk mineral paint, even though it's got chalk content, the chalk mineral paint, it doesn't tend to fling up a huge amount of dust when you're sanding that. This is very dusty. So just be aware that if you are going to sand it and distress it that way, it will chuck up a lot of dust. But as you can see, it kind of gives you, so wet distressing versus sanding gives you more of kind of like a faded kind of look. It's a little bit softer because you are just literally rubbing away the layers of the paint to expose what's underneath. Whereas when you're sanding, it gives you a little bit more of that kind of coarse kind of distress look, if that makes sense. But if you can imagine that all around the edge of the drawers, because it's got this kind of frame detail around here, if you imagine that all the way around on every single drawer, I think it's actually going to look quite effective. And that is so simple to achieve, and it looks quite authentic, I think, anyway. And yeah, exactly, you can kind of just leave it at that. You could leave it at that. You could leave it to dry. You could top coat it, and then you'd have that kind of texture to the piece, which makes it look a little bit authentic. You'd also have this kind of soft distressing, and you could just top coat it, bang some handles on, and it'd be good. I, of course, will be adding a little bit of wax because I can't not. But like I say, it's, you can't seal this with best dang wax, but you can use best dang wax with it once it's sealed with the appropriate top coat. So that's probably what I'll be doing. I'll be using one of the Terra top coats to seal this with once it's dried, and then I will be putting probably a little touch of wax on because I literally cannot help myself. And the other thing as well is when I'm distressing, so obviously we've got the nice kind of distress work going on all the way around here. I'll be concentrating the distress work mainly around the edges. I don't really want to start distressing this bit in the centre because you can kind of get to that kind of look where it's a little bit forced. So sometimes with distressing, less is more. And the other thing that I do when I do distress work is I'll take my drawer out and I will distress around where the drawer fits in, because that's where it would naturally wear and age and get kind of rubbed and stuff. So if you've got this beautifully distressed drawer front, but where it fits into the piece is perfectly painted to the line, kind of looks a little bit odd. So I always distress around here as well, in whichever kind of method that I'm using on that particular piece. So for this one, it's just wet distressing because it's going to kind of tie in with the look of the drawer fronts. And I'm just going to rub away around the edge. Again, less is more with this. You'd be surprised how much of a difference this makes, just rubbing a little bit away around here. And the beauty of this is as well, if you rub too much and you think you've exposed too much of whatever's underneath, you can just go back in with, in my case, the pistachio, and just paint over it again. There's no kind of problem with like patching it up if you go a little bit heavy-handed. I tend to be pretty heavy-handed with most things in my application. So if I rubbed too hard, for example, and all of this came off, I could just go back in and touch that back up with Terra and start the process again until you get, and that is quite often the case. Sometimes I have gone a little bit over the top with my distressing and it gets to the point where it looks a little bit forced and a little bit fake. And like I said, there is a fine line between what looks good and what looks a little bit kind of forced. So I have gone in so many times with my original colour and just kind of put the colour back on and then gone in again with the distressing, not quite so heavy. Just seen, oh, why do I keep pressing the screen? More organic, exactly. In a way, it gives a really cool, yes, versus using wax. So more tack cloth for it then in case of water. I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail or distract. No, it's okay. You could use a tack cloth for getting any dust off it. The dust wouldn't be an issue with chalk mineral paint and silk, but I would definitely just kind of not introduce water if you've got Terra and you need to kind of get dust sitting off the surface. If you use water, you will reactivate it and then you're at risk of like smudging your paint effect or whatever. Sorry, I'm getting my hands in the way here because the comments go and I have to get them back. Would the Big Daddy brush work with painting with this as well? And do you have to worry about a thick layer of paint ruining the piece? I was thinking I wanted more of a textured piece. The Big Daddy brush was actually made and released at the same time as Terra, so it kind of works perfectly with Terra. It's definitely a really good brush for a larger piece. I've just not used it on this particular piece, not because I just didn't grab it. I just grabbed the other brush at the time. But what was the other question? Would you worry about a thick layer of paint? So it really depends on how you're applying the paint and the paint effect that you're going for. So this is just a thick kind of layer because I wanted that texture, whereas other paint effects that I've done with Terra have been watered down and blended and other things as well. So it depends on the kind of look you're going for. The Big Daddy brush, it doesn't apply it too thickly, but like you can add water to this and it'll thin out. You can also add enough water to this that it becomes almost like a watercolour, so that you can do really artistic things. And I mean, if you don't follow the other brand ambassadors, I would highly recommend doing so, because I obviously show what I work on and how I use the paints and products, but it's super interesting to follow a few because everybody uses the product slightly differently. We've all got different designs and styles. And so Tracy, who does really whimsical stuff, her hand painting is amazing. And Melissa from the Top Drawer RVA, Terra is her absolute favourite, and she does grunge effects. She also has done one of my favourite ever pieces of furniture that I've ever seen, and it was a cedar chest that was hand painted with roses on it, and all of the hand painting was done with finger painting, and she did it with Terra, and it's amazing. It's super artistic and it's really pretty. So I would definitely go and follow those and check out. If you're interested in want to know a bit more, if you're intrigued about Terra, I would definitely go and follow a few other people and see how they use Terra, because it's a very creative paint. So it's not just about dipping your brush in and painting a colour. You can just get so many cool different effects with it. And like I say, this is just my way and one way of doing it. And it's not the right way. There is no right or wrong way. Pretty much with anything in the furniture painting world, we can give you advice and we can tell you what we would do. But if somebody wanted to try and get a perfectly flawless finish with Terra, I say go for it. So I always distress, like I say, all around the edges here, like this. I'm gonna have to call this piece Kermit, aren't I? Because it's green. She is green. He is green. It's definitely he. And just expose a little bit of that wood around there. Just a peak. Just so that you kind of get that continuation of the same kind of distressing over the piece. And it doesn't look kind of too fresh and new, where the drawer fits back into the kind of carcass of the piece. The other thing you can do as well is wet distress with one of these. This is a finishing pad or a burnishing pad. Again, it's a Dixie Belle product. Depending on what you're using it with, it can change names. So it's like a kind of like a scouring pad. It's got that kind of feel to it. So it's a lot more abrasive. So if you're getting fed up of using a rag and you're finding that it's taking a little bit too long to shift, you can call in the big guns and you can get this bad boy. Now this is obviously going to rub away at the paint a lot quicker than what a rag does or a shot cloth. So again, I'm going to spray that, and then I'm just going to so because it's got that kind of slight abrasive feeling, it's just going to help you distress. It's going to rub away at the paint more. Like that. So you get the kind of same effect, just with slightly less effort. But what that might do is if you have got another colour underneath, it might start to rub away at that. Like it's taken off more of the dark wood effect paint wash on here than what it did on the other drawer. It's rubbed it down so you can see a little bit of the orangey pine. I don't mind a bit. I just didn't want it to be where I distress. I just didn't want it to all be orange pine. So I don't mind a little bit of tonal variety in that, because I just kind of think it makes it look a little bit more authentic anyway. And I will be using a bit of brown or black wax over the top of this once it's sealed. So I don't mind a little bit, but that's worth trying as well. Obviously you can see the paint will stick on here, but you can wash these and reuse them. So that's worth a go as well. And that's it. That's what I'm going to continue doing, is distressing this piece, grunging it up a little bit, and then I'll be sealing it up, putting some new handles on it, and it'll be done. Hopefully not too far in the future it'll be done. I say that, and then I'll sit on a piece for like 2 weeks. It won't be done for ages. But no, I'm going to try and get this finished up as soon as I can and staged to show you the kind of effect that I've got going on in my brain. Hopefully I've answered all of your questions today. If not, and you've got a burning question about something, just drop me a DM. You can find me at Faff Designs on all of the social media channels. I'm on all of them. So if you've got any questions about anything, I'll do my best to answer those. And I'm going to go and pick my kids up from school now. So I will see you same time next week. Yeah, I feel like there's something coming up where I'm not doing a live. I had to think about it then, but I don't think there is. Maybe there is. I don't know. Anyway, clearly I've not drank enough coffee today to be with it properly. Yesterday I had too many coffees. I thought I was being a grown-up, and I got a takeaway coffee from a coffee place, and yeah, it was strong. She was a strong coffee, actually. So yeah, that's it. Someone's just put transfers with question mark. Have I missed a question about transfers? I didn't think I'd missed any questions. Sorry for my finger in the way. I don't know what you mean about transfers, Teresa. Message me. Not on here, because I won't see it. Don't message the Dixie Belle YouTube channel. Either message me on my own YouTube channel, or TikTok, or Facebook, or Instagram, or any of the places. Transfers. Yeah. Did I say transfers about something and didn't mean transfers? I don't know. Teresa's not replying. Okay. Message me. Message me. I might have. Did I say something? I don't know. Anyway, I'll be back here same time next week with a different project. Like I said at the start of the video, make sure you subscribe to the Dixie Belle YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to my channel also. That'd be great. And thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye.